The Belize National Teachers Union is known for its vigor in championing the causes of teachers across the country. Of no surprise is that teachers across the Caribbean are faced with similar issues as those in Belize, from the lack of adequate resources in the classroom to the deep divide between unions and policymakers. Every year, teachers from across the region gather under the Caribbean Union of Teachers to brainstorm solutions for modern-day problems in the classroom. This year's conference is being held in Belize.
Very similar issues, and that is one of the very good thing of having the Caribbean Union of Teachers, that it brings us together. There are some nuances, but on the whole, we are all experiencing the same kind of challenges. We have resource issues. We have governments not listening to teachers. We have teachers who are underpaid. We have issues with the conduct of students in school, you name it. So we have some common issues across the board, and so we come together to see if we can find some solution to resolve them. We are not just about complaining, but it's about finding solutions to some of these problems, because if we don't know who will.
Dr. Garth Anderson, the president of the Caribbean Union of Teachers, says the 2 days of meeting seek to empower the members of CUT to ensure that they are on the cutting edge of the developments in the education sector. One such evolution is the increased use of technology in the classroom.
We know that for our reality, many of our schools and our students don't have resources to be able to properly engage in the use of technology. So that is one area that we have to work on. We just met, if you noticed a while ago, with a couple, and they have an organization that would be able to provide some of these resources, for example, laptops to schools. What we must do on our end is to have the data, because we're not a data-driven people. So we need to provide them with the data as to how many students need a device. What kind of devices would they need? What do the schools have? How can the schools make use of these things? And then we collaborate with them to be able to get these devices in country. The devices are available. What we have to now do is to, as I said, get the data, one. Two, work with government officials and ministries to see how we can get those devices in country without cost to the schools.
While collecting the necessary data is an endeavor on its own, importing large quantities of electronics for students without any cost to schools would require government intervention. But how does a teachers' union like the BNTU go about obtaining the necessary buy-in from policymakers for its proposal? For the most part, the relationship between the union members and the government has been antagonistic.
There would need to be two levels of communication to have the government buy into what unions are proposing and to implement policies in the best interest of students and education. The first level of communication would come when members themselves, as we have been encouraging during the conference, when members themselves come together and use their voices, share the ideas, share the concerns as well, make the recommendations. The other level of communication would have to do with how the unions collaborate with governments and the ministries of education. As the president said, it simply would not be, not we are making any apologies, it simply would not be, well, we want this. But show them why we would want it. Show them the cost, for example, the financial cost for why you're doing this A, B, C, D, E. Let them see the benefit to national development.
I think when we look at solutions that are realistic, things that are easily implementable, then there shouldn't be any reason why, as partners, we can't work together and get those implemented. Now, if we are looking at things that would need huge changes, for example, or would come at exorbitant costs, then we would understand that will take a longer time. But several of the things that we spoke about today and yesterday are things that can be implemented without needing financing.
The conference concludes later today with a dinner that will be hosted by Prime Minister John Briceño. Reporting for News 5, I am Paul Lopez.